So we're going to talk about the most difficult shots in golf. Yeah, this one sucks big time. Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before we get into today's video, I want to thank Perfect Swing for sponsoring today's video. If you don't know what Perfect Swing is, you can go back to my video, I think it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, where I played Perfect Swing, which is a virtual game that you can play on iOS or Android. It is so much fun. In that video, I played as my virtual self and I tried to beat my score in real life. So there are 4 different modes that you can play in. Last time I played in career mode. I like that one because you can go and try to beat your score. You can unlock new components, new skills, new outfits. There's also match mode where you can play against all different players around the globe. Tournament mode, which is a once-a-day competition where 8 players will compete on different holes. And lastly is Clan League, which I think is going to become your favorite. So you can join a clan and then compete against other clans. You can connect with people globally, you can chat with them, earn rewards, and it really feels like a community, and that's what I like about this. But my other favorite part about Perfect Swing is the ability to upgrade and shop for gear and equipment, so you really get a customized and upgraded experience. You can see all the cute little clothing options that I can choose from. Ooh, fancy. So make sure you click the link in the description box below to download Perfect Swing. Drop your game ID in the comments in the next 10 days to receive $50 worth of in-game items. And for those subscribers who send me a friend request in the app, my username is Paige Renee. Up to 30 subscribers will receive $200 worth of in-game rewards. Okay, so we're going to talk about the most difficult shots in golf. We're going to first start off on a downhill lie to a short-sided pin that you need to get up in the air. Yeah, this one sucks big time. Obviously, the downhill slope is going to make the ball go lower, but you need the ball to go up in the air and you need to stop it. So how do you hit that shot? Well, luckily for you, I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, and this is the most important part of when you're playing on a downhill slope, is you're going to set your body along the slope line. If your body is backwards and the slope line is forward, you're going to hit it way behind the golf ball because that's where your body is set up. So you want to move your body along the slope line. So here's where normal would be, and here's where I'm setting it. So a lot of the weight, majority of the weight is going to be on your front foot. As you can see, I can almost lift my back foot up. That's how much weight I have on my front leg. And that's perfect too, because since we're trying to get it up in the air, this is almost like a flop shot or a bunker shot technique that I've showed you plenty of times before. So this should be pretty familiar to you with the same technique. So again, most important part, setting the weight forward. You're gonna wanna have the ball middle front. You don't wanna have it too far back because you're gonna bottom out behind the ball. So you wanna set your body forward, have it middle front, choke down on it. Choking down is really important because you're going to have more control over the shot. If you grip it at the end of it, as you can see, I have no control whatsoever. Choking down helps a lot. It also helps you get nice and low too in that forward body movement. Next, you want to open your club face. This is really going to help you get it up in the air. If you have it shut, that's what's really going to make the ball go very low. And since we want it to go up in the air and spin, you need to have the club face open. Again, choke down, weight forward. And from here, you want to use the bounce of the club. So this is the bounce right here. And when I say use the bounce, you want to come through like this, and that's how it's going to get up in the air. You do not want to use the leading edge, which means when it comes through the ball, you're digging down into it. As you can see, look where the face is pointed when I use the leading edge. It's going to be low, and when I'm using the bounce, nice and flat, almost like a pancake, and you're just leaving it there and keeping it as open as possible. From here, you're going to kind of turn around your front leg. You don't want to shift back and then shift forward because of the slope. It's just going to add way too much body movement to what you're doing. So it's almost like a rotation around your front leg. Turn back, cock your wrist slightly, bend that elbow, keep them nice and tight. Again, you don't want to move or have any excess movement on this shot. Tighter and smaller, more controlled, the better here. Turn around, and then just a nice, easy wrist throw. It's not a big hand throw like you would with a huge flop shot or even the bunker shot, just a little bit. And then again, you're turning through your front leg when you hit that shot. So again, you want to keep everything steady and over the golf ball. Everything's turning around it, no excess movement, and that's how you hit the shot. So let me hit a couple. Also, one thing to remember with this shot is even if you're doing all the right technique, have the club face open and you're throwing your hands and putting as much spin as possible on it, there's no guarantee that it's going to stop as soon as it lands. So it's still going to roll out, so you have to play for that with the shot. If my body's forward off of the slope, again, I'm still not going to shoot it up as high as I possibly can if I was on a flat lie or even an uphill lie. So it's going to roll out, so make sure you play for that. So you hit a great drive, your ball lands in the divot in the fairway, which is a whole nother discussion for itself. I think you should get a free drop if your ball lands in a divot on the fairway, and it's stupid that that's not a rule yet, but I digress anyways. So your ball lands in a divot, what do? This is a difficult shot, but once you know how to play it, it's really not all that hard. So if you're at the middle of the divot and it's not too deep, this one's moderate. I think this one's difficult because it's a bit skinnier. Usually when you have a thicker divot, it's a little bit better because then you don't really have to do anything different. Just kind of swing through it. If it's like hard, wet dirt, really it's not that bad. But since this one's a little bit skinnier, that's when your club will twist and turn a little bit more. So you have to be a little bit more aggressive on it and swing down and through it. If the ball is in the front of the divot, this is the easiest one that you could possibly do. I don't mind a ball when it's in front of the divot because you have so much room to work with in the back. So really, your club doesn't really get stuck at all, and it's really easy to kind of swing through it. The most important thing is when your ball's in the front of a divot is to continue to accelerate through the ball, because you'll probably snag just a little bit when you hit the ground right here. So if you keep that acceleration moving forward, not that bad. Back of a divot, the worst. This is by far the worst, just because again it's sitting so low and there's grass coming up above it, so it's sitting down, so it's hard to get underneath it. So what I try to do is come a little bit more steep into it, and so that way you're not dealing with the grass as much behind it. You're coming down steep into it, and hopefully it'll shoot up through it. Okay, sand-filled divots. These are not all that bad. Again, I like to play these almost as if you're in a bunker and you're hitting a fairway bunker shot. So I like to pick this one a little bit more clean instead of going down into it. So again, if it's a sanded divot, play it as if it's like a fairway bunker shot. So for example, I'll show you how I'm gonna hit this one. Again, it's like you're picking it clean right off of the sand. Not bad at all. As you can see by the divot that I took through the sand, there's really nothing there. So I pretty much just picked it as clean as possible right off of all the sand. Your ball plugs in the bunker. What do? For me, this is one of the most difficult shots in golf. It's just so hard to judge, and it's also just bad luck. But there's two ways that you can hit it. First way is, the way I like to describe this best is my coach told me this once. It's like a ketchup packet, and you need to come down steep on it to shoot the ketchup out of the packet. So think about it that way. If this is the ketchup packet, where do you need your club to enter for the ball to shoot out? For this one, it's going to be right next to it. So you're going to close your club face as much as possible, and then just come down on it as steep and as hard as you possibly can to shoot it out. If your ball is sitting down really deep and it's kind of covered with sand, you're going to want to close the club face. And for the really deep buried lies, always close your club face, and again, be very aggressive with it. If you have any doubt in your mind when you're hitting this shot, you need to have full confidence in yourself and be as aggressive as possible. I'm going to shut the club face, put it back in my stance, choke down, be aggressive, steep, close club face. There you go. You really need to have low expectations with this and really just get it out of the bunker. I think that's one of the most important things. So again, club face shut, back of your stance, be aggressive. Not too bad. The other technique you can use for a buried lie that maybe isn't as deep is you actually open the club face. And still it's the same technique where you're coming steep down on it. You want to hit it kind of closer to the ball. With the normal bunker shot, you want to extend the amount of sand. It's like a dollar bill's length of sand that you want to take, but when it's buried, you want to take like literally right next to the golf ball, because that's how you're going to shoot it out and up. So instead of having the club really far shut, how I showed you earlier, for a very deep buried lie, for one that's not as bad, you're actually going to open the club up, and then it's still the same technique. Head forward through it, really steep, cock those wrists. And before, like how I told you where you want to throw your hands, no, you do not want to throw them. You really want to keep that angle through it. And this helps you get it up just a little bit higher and hopefully just put, I was going to say a little bit of spin, but actually no spin at all, but it does shoot it up just a little bit higher. And again, you want to open it up when it's not as buried. Same technique. In all of these shots that we're talking about today, the most important thing is to manage your expectations. It's a difficult golf shot, and sometimes just getting out of the bunker and giving yourself a chance at making your par is the best thing you could possibly do, even if it is a 20-30 footer. It's better than, you know, being back in the bunker and then trying to get up and down. That's where you start to make your doubles and triples. So again, manage your expectations, be aggressive with the shot, have a lot of confidence in yourself. Be aggressive through it. That's the most important thing. You don't want to get here and be like, oh no, I'm coming down too hard, and pull up and get scared. That's the worst thing you can possibly do. That's where it's just going to kind of dribble out, pop out, hit the lip, and then come back in. So again, be aggressive, confident, trust yourself, and really just force your way through it. So another shot that I see people struggle with all the time, it's a very difficult shot, when you're short-sighted and the green is running away from you. What do you do, especially when you're in the rough? So luckily for you, I have talked about this technique so much. You're actually going to start to see a pattern with this. It's the same technique when you want to hit a flop shot, a bunker shot, a spinning shot. It's really the same technique for all of the shots, but it's either just a little bit smaller, small little adjustments with your setup, with your club face. And so for example, instead of hitting a huge flop shot or a bunker shot, which can have a really wide stance, I don't have my stances wide on this one. So I would say it's a little bit in between. And then you're still going to set your weight forward. Always set your weight forward on every shot that you're going to hit. You never want to set your weight back, because that's when you start to lift and turn back on it. So you'll hit those really thin shots, those fat shots. So you want to always have your weight forward. You're going to have your club face open on this one, pretty open. Choke down on it. Set your weight forward. Hands at your stomach or at your belly button. You never want to have your hands forward, because then the club shoots out right, and then you have to adjust your hands. You have to come across it. It's just way too many adjustments to make. So have your hands set at center, open your club, grip it, hands set at center. And then you're going to turn to a small little touchy shot here. All you're going to do is kind of throw your hands through it. And it's as easy as that. And the hardest shot in golf is a mid-long bunker shot. So I would say anywhere from 20 to 50 yards. It is brutal because it's so hard to judge, but I found a way to make it just a little bit easier for you guys. So here we go. I see most people take a 58, a 56, a 54, and they try to kill it. That is not what you want to do. To make this shot easier, grab a 50-degree wedge, a pitching wedge, even a 9-iron. Anything with a little less loft is really going to be your best friend here. So instead of having your club completely open like a normal bunker shot, we're going to bring our stance in just a little bit, so not as wide, because you do need to turn back and through it just a little bit more. With a short bunker shot, you really don't need that rotation, you don't need distance, you're wanting that spin. So that's why you need that wide stance to get forward on it, and also to get your hands a little bit lower to get you more loft on your club to shoot up a little bit higher. So if this is square and this is where we normally hit our normal bunker shot, we're gonna go right in between both of those. And then if this is shoulder width apart, and that's our normal stance, we're gonna go right in between both of those. And then from here, you're not throwing your hand, like throwing it back with a big wrist cock and releasing it down. You're almost hitting this like a pitch shot and like picking it clean off of the bunker. So again, as you can see, there's kind of a theme here where it's in between a fairway bunker shot and a short bunker shot. So for a fairway bunker shot, I would do just my normal swing and pick it. And for this one, I'm gonna do more of like a wedge swing and then also try to pick it. I'm not trying to get a lot of sand here again, because that's really hard to control when you're trying to get it to the right distance. Another thing here that you really need to focus on is your tempo. I see a lot of people try to hit it as hard as they possibly can, because again, they have a club that has too much loft and they're trying to get it the most distance out of that club as possible. So you don't need to try to hit this that hard, because you have a less lofted club, like a 50-degree pitching wedge or a 9-iron. You can even hit an 8-iron. So when you have less lofted club, you do not need to hit it as hard. Having a nice tempo here is going to be vital to hitting an amazing golf shot. So let's hit a couple. Okay. And you don't need to choke down all the way where I was telling you before with some of those other shots. Again, it's just right in the center. You want to have a little bit more control on it than being at the very end of it. So it's just about that much of your butt end is showing. I mean, I could not have hit that any better. As you can see, I barely took any sand. I picked it clean, caught it absolutely perfect, and practice makes perfect with this shot. You need to find an area where you can hit ball after ball after ball. That's how you're going to feel really comfortable with the shot. I think that's why the shot is so difficult for so many people. It's because we don't really have an area that we can practice it. Most short game areas either don't have a bunker, and if they do have a bunker, it's right up against the green, so you can never practice a long bunker shot. So maybe late afternoon, go to the golf course, try to find some of those awkward bunkers between that like 20 to 50 yards, and just hit shots. Honestly, hit as many shots as you can to try to get comfortable with it, because it's not that difficult of a shot. It's just because you don't know how to hit it, and also you just don't have enough practice hitting it. So I caught that one a little bit heavier than I did the first one. The first one was absolutely perfect, and this one I caught a little bit more sand, but because I had a club that was less lofted, it still got out and ran to almost the distance of the last one. If I had a very lofted club and that happened to me, I would probably still be stuck in the bunker. So club selection is super important here, and I learned this the hard way. I was playing a round of golf with Gary Player, and I grabbed a lofted club for a long bunker shot, and it didn't hit a very good shot, and he said, "Paige, do you know what your golf IQ is from a 1 to 10? And I said, "Mr. Player, I don't know. What is it?" And he said, "It's a 2. Why did you grab a lofted club out of the bunker? You should have hit a 9-iron. And from that day on, I learned my lesson, and it really improved my long bunker play. So if you're not going to listen to me, listen to the legend that is Gary Player. The last difficult shot that we're going to talk about today, there are plenty of difficult shots. So if you enjoyed today's video, leave a comment down below on some more difficult shots that you want me to cover in a future video. But the last one we're going to discuss today is a high draw. Most people struggle with this shot mostly because their miss is a slice, or they can't seem to draw it, and if they draw it, it's more of like a low smothered hook instead of a nice pretty high draw. So we're just going to go through how I like to hit a high draw. So there are a couple ways to work the ball. Some people like to do it with setup, and other people like to do it with swing path. To hit a high draw, you're going to have to do it with swing path and a little bit of setup. But you want to be able to really get that path, and if you have trouble slicing it, then this is going to be a great drill for you guys to actually start to work the ball right to left. So what I like to do is when I set up to hit my draw, I like to put it just a little forward of center. If I'm trying to hit a high draw, I'm actually going to move it up just a little bit more, just slightly, slightly. You don't want to off your front foot like a driver, but just a little bit in between. And then Everything else is the same in your setup. Again, when I'm talking about how there's two ways to hit it with swing path or setup, most people will then shut the face and move their stance. If you do this, it's probably gonna be a little bit harder for you to get it nice and high. It's gonna be a little bit more of like a lower draw. So this is where swing path comes into play. To get that draw and to get it working from right to left, you actually have to swing out to the right and come a little bit more underneath it. So my normal swing path is probably around here. If you're gonna hit a fade, or when people struggle with slices, they're coming over the top of the swing plane. So if here's the swing plane, you're over it, and you're swinging to the left, which gets those kind of left to right slices or fades. And to hit that nice pretty draw, you're actually gonna come a little bit more from the inside and swing a little bit more like in to out. One thing I like to do is feel like my back is to the target just a second longer, which allows my hands to drop into that slot. If you get quick with it or the shoulder comes over, that's when you're gonna yank it over the top. So feel like your back is to the target just a little bit longer, and that way it can drop nicely into that slot. And then from there, to hit it high, instead of moving everything forward, actually just stay back just a little bit on this one. I don't want you guys on your back foot, but again, just be a little bit more patient through it and let your hips kind of move forward, that shoulder stay back, your arms fall in that slot, and then from there, nice and high finish. You don't want to wrap it around and turn it over. That's where people get that kind of like low smothered shot. You want to come from the inside out and up and really finish nice and high on this one. Okay, so now let's just put it all together. Nice, very pretty high draw. So as you can see, I came up and through it, really committed to it. Again, you have to commit to this shot and feel uncomfortable hitting it. If your swing path is normally a little bit over it, this is going to feel like you're really dropping it from the inside. So go to the driving range and spend a lot of time kind of working on your swing path, messing it around, trying to get it down the line, a little over it, a little under it, get different feelings, and that's how you're going to learn how to work the golf ball. So these are where my 3 balls ended up for those 3 nice high draws. Having a high draw on your bag is really great because, again, draws seem to go a little bit farther, they roll a little bit more, but if you can get it nice and high, you get the distance and also it dropping nice and soft. So it's a great shot to have in your bag, but more than that, it's just practicing your swing path and working in a different way. So if you guys struggle with your over-the-top slices or fades, this is a great shot to have too, just to kind of rework your path a little bit. I do this a lot because I tend to get a little bit steep on it, and so when I'm struggling with it, I almost will exaggerate as much as possible just to feel that movement again, and it really straightens me out. And then when I start swinging normally again, I'm right on path. So really try to feel that exaggerated movement of coming kind of in and out and up, and it's like when you hit a nice high draw, it is the best feeling in the entire world. Like, it feels so good, and you feel right on path, and it's nice and solid. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video and the difficult golf shots. But these are shots that I find difficult and that I've seen people struggle with, that I've played with. Again, we all know that the long bunker shot is the most difficult shot in golf, but these are some other ones that I thought of. So if you have any other difficult golf shots that you guys want me to talk about, comment down below, and don't forget your perfect swing ID. Leave that down below in the comments as well. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next Thursday.